I mean, you're so first morning. I mean, you will need.
Hello.
What's it name? Let's go, let's go.
Okay.
The next one.
Where are you from? Ghana.
Yeah, I know why you asked. Okay, so Mr. Morgan organizes shoulder tour as well. Okay, so you proceed to the canyons, okay? You look around for 5 minutes, take some pictures, and come back here, okay, for the next day.
Have you ever lived in America?
No.
You've always lived here your whole life?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very similar to like America.
Okay, so I'll see. I will for now Sunday, but I can get back at today. Alright, so I'll see you.
Okay.
This is the museum.
Oh, okay.
This is the museum.
Alright.
So, bring the tour guide.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you been to Elmina Castle already?
Yes.
Okay, so no need for the introduction, straightforward, because I'm not telling the same thing. Sure?
Okay.
Okay. All right. 4 steps down. The floor is sleeper. Take your
Yeah, I
time.
know, so talk to my brother. I know everything about here. So my brother is doing it for me.
Okay, here we go. Okay, at least my name. My name is Francisca. Okay, I'm God's redeemed. I'm an African woman graced to make history. History is what I make by telling people about the transatlantic slave trade. What's your name?
My name's Corey.
Okay, from yours.
Yes.
Okay, you're welcome.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, this very castle was built purposely for the transatlantic slave trade, as you were told, in Elmina Castle. The other 2 castles, Elmina Castle and Christian Ball castles, were built as export bases for gold, ivory, and spices. Till Columbus said he discovered the Americas. I don't know how you discover a place that somebody's already on. I call that theft, but then he chose to call it discovery. Yeah, because of his discovery, here we are. Here we have these 3 extractors. Yeah. So I'm gonna put up the last all you see, dude. The kind of condition.
It's horrible.
Okay, we have 5 rooms in the Rose Lake dungeon. Each could house 150 to 200 people. Okay, I put up the line to say there wasn't anything like this. The only source of light today they had were these 3 holes. Yeah, we standing on the original floor, but if you came here before 1974, we'd be standing on solidified human waste. Because when the captors were here, there wasn't anything like our East Master Lemmy God. They did everything here. Yeah, this place went through excavation in 1974. Before the student could touch the floor, they left some white markings on the walls to show the level of the accumulation of the solidified human waste. We have these white markings here. The basis of the white markings, that was the level of the solidified human waste. Meaning a slave could stand in his own waste right up to this level, like you're standing in a river.
Yeah.
The question then is, how do they sleep? They stood most of the time in this darkness. Science tells us that if you stay in darkness for a long time, the sensitivity of your eyes increases 100,000 times, meaning your eyes work more than they should at the time it stresses the eyes. It is one of the reasons some of the captives went out either fully or partially blind. Yeah, the student to adapt the floor for their research, they not take everything away. They left a portion for us. So before 1974, the entire floor had this covering. What we have here is not mere dust, but this is a mixture of their blood, tears, sweat, the food they ate, the dust of their feet, and anything else the captives left behind. How do I know this? The student took sample for testing, and the result proved what I just said.
It's horrible.
Question
No.
Okay, so this is the third room. Compare this floor to the very first floor. What do we not see?
Well, I don't see those white streaks as much. And I see this line in the center now. But yeah.
Yeah, we don't see bricks.
Yes.
Meaning we on top of solidified human waste.
This is human waste here.
Yeah. If we were to dig, we found the bricks beneath, because the castle was built with bricks. Yes.
Oh wow. Oh no, you just said this is all human waste.
Yes.
Wow. Damn, that's horrible.
In this tour, you hear names like God, not because I'm God's redeemed. You hear names like Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, Bible scriptures, because the Europeans who came to Africa built churches on all the three castles. Yes.
So they had a church here while they had human waste.
They had church right on top. This very room was a church built. On top of it was a church built. God has speech, and now the Anglican Church. So while we have people in here dying, they claimed to be worshiping God above. I don't know the kind of God they're worshiping.
Right.
Because the gospel is a love story, and God is a savior. He is the savior, not even a savior.
Right.
So how can you have people made in God's image and likeness here while we have church service right on top?
Well, why are those people still on top, so to speak?
Why?
Yeah.
They have this concept that Africans were cursed biblically. If you ever heard the story of Noah, where Ham saw the father's nakedness, what did Noah do? He did not curse Ham, but he cursed the descendant of Canaan. Why? There are some commentators who believe that Ham had sexual intercourse with his mama in the ark, and Canaan was a product of that act. And so Noah was so angry, he saw Canaan, he became angry that he pronounced a curse on him instead of cursing him. So these Europeans have this conception that Africans were the descendant of Canaan. Why? Because the word Ham means high temperature, and Africa has what?
But they made that up in the 1400s. That wasn't even going on in 400 AD. So like, why do you think these people are still able to do the thing they're able to do if, you had like the savior and so forth? Like, why would they be able to be on top and they've done so much horrible things to human beings?
Again, they had this.
But I'm not talking about their story. I'm talking about how they able to.
Okay, so, all right. Yes. Are you a Christian?
Yeah.
I am too. How do you feel?
Oh, well, I feel that it's all about systems. It's systematic. So the way they're able to do it, they tell you, even in USA, they tell us we had a system. We would pit the American Indians against the Mexicans. We pit the black man against the black woman now against the black man. What you see promoted in America, you know what I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure. You have Africans, they would beef each other against each other. I think the guy talked about that in the last play. He literally talked about how they would pit the Africans and the Africans. It's called divide and conquer, and they still do it to this day. They do it amongst each other, and they tell you. And it's up to you to whether you're gonna go along for it or not. There was even uprisings. I'm waiting to hear some story about the uprisings, because there was some uprisings, I think with the Ashanti and another group in this region of Africa where they fought against them, and they were able to stave them off, and they kind of went off a little into the center of Africa. But really, it's just a divide and conquer. It's a system that they operate under, and they stick together.
Yes, it's not worth it to ever come here and go home and say that I'm no longer a Christian because I came here and I found a church on top of a dungeon.
No,
in the first place, they were never Christians.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they just had it. This was a test for them to see this and for God to know if they were really for them. Okay, so nobody go home should go home distrusting God.
Yeah, it was not about religion. It's about the system they have in
Okay.
place. Yeah, it's the system, which is what they do now. Yeah.
Okay, so this was the last room. Well, the captives had to go through an underground passage, which was here. This thing was not here at the time. All that was here was the entrance of the tunnel. But the captives in chains, in shackles, in cuffs went through to the door of no return. They blocked the entrance around 1834 to mark the end of the slave trade. And that was led by Captain George McLean. Yeah, this room was the selection room where they picked the weak slaves from the strong ones. The weak souls were kept there to allow the strong ones go. After that, these weak souls would wait for the next shipment, but without any medical attention. Many of your survival depended on the strength of the immune system. Okay, if grace found you in time, if you survived, fine, but if you died and there was no burial for any black slave here, all of them were dumped into the sea.
Yes.
So we look around, we have these reed flowers brought in for people like us.
Yes.
In the memory of those who lost your lives. But this is what the Africans believed in. They stuck with the money on top, blood all around. It used to form part of the entire rock on which the castle was built. That was what the Africans were worshiping at the time. So these Europeans came in and they stopped the people from worshiping. Why? Because the land was given to them by people. Again, the scripture says God is not to be worshipped through anything he's made, but through who? Jesus Christ.
Right.
So they stopped them. So they took the piece of stone from here before the castle was brought back here after the end of the slave trade.
It's heavy stuff. It's heavy.
Really?
Really heavy. Absolutely. Is anything back there or just more done?
You can go have a look.
No, no.
Millions of Africans on the African continent were captured. They were made to work. Therefore, wherever they captured them, down to various castles.
How's it going? Hello.
I understand this.
Okay, the entire field was for burying Europeans. The only black guy buried here was this guy, Philip Kirkwood. Philip was never a slave, but that his father was a supplier of slaves. Because his father's connection with the English, he was sponsored by the Anglican Church to go to England. In Oxford University, he studied theology, came back 24 years old, was ordained as the first African Anglican priest. So he came and saw what was happening to his own people, and he complained. And they're like, hey, how do you think we pay your fees?
Sorry, what you said?
How do you think we pay for your fees? The same trade. So you don't tell us what to do. We know what we're doing.
Right.
So if you don't like it, you can leave the castle. Yeah, he chose integrity. He left the castle. It was when Philip Kirkwood went outside the castle that he started teaching the people how to read and write English. So in this town, we attribute the introduction of Western form of education to Philip Kirkwood. That's why we have schools named after him, Philip Kirkwood Boys and Girls School.
What year was it that he came back at 24? What year was it when he came back at age 24?
It's around 1760s thereabout.
Wow.
Talk about the other graves. Okay, this is C.B. Whitehead. He was a soldier for the English. 38 years old, he died. We don't really know what killed him, but people believe that Dot shot him dead. In the middle, we have Letitia Elizabeth London, the wife of Captain George McLean. McLean was a governor in the castle. 46 years old, malaria killed him. His wife came to visit him, but 2 months upon arrival, she was found dead in the husband's bedroom. We've got three schools of thought, pointing out what killed this woman. The first school of thought holds she died of malaria. Others say no when she came. She discovered McLean had an African mistress, and out of jealousy, she poisoned herself and died. The last argument is that it was George McLean together with the mistress who poisoned her so they could continue with their romance. 36, she died.
Wow. You said what year was this?
1838.
38. Wow. Huh.
Took about a while. Yeah, they stored grain to cook for the captives. Yeah, this was what both the slaves and the masters consumed. But the masters all went through treatment. They had to boil it, filter it, before they could take it in. But the blacks had to drink it without any treatment. Why? Because they believed the Africans were strong, that they could take in anything without being killed by it. But you should know that some of them took it, got sick, and lost it, and they died.
What do you think about this as a historian? Like, you know, the Moorish people, they was in Europe in like the 1300s,
Yes.
1200s, and they were
sir.
teaching the Spanish and the French, alchemy and chemistry. And then they came over here and said this story that they didn't believe that they could take it and all this other stuff. What do you think about that?
Well, that's
It sounds like it don't add up. Right? It
yeah,
sounds
it
bullshit.
really add up.
It's like they're saying that barbaric and they didn't. But like, you know about the Moorish people, they educated and civilized all of Europe.
Yes, they did. Yes. So it doesn't add up. Yeah. So some of them drank it and died.
Right.
Yeah, it's not connected to pipe, no longer rain.
Right.
Yeah, even Africans was exploring 3,000 years before the Europeans came.
Yeah, I was in Belize. I saw these people called the Grafuna people, and they were there pre-Columbus in 1300s AD by Abu Bakr II,
Yes.
the Islamic king who migrated over there.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, what's questionable is they say they only had arrows and stuff here, but the Moorish people, they're the ones that educated the people, and then they had guns. So how did the people in Africa, particularly West Africa, not have guns?
That's it. Truthfully, yeah. In school, in the books we read here, they said we did not know what gun was. We
Right.
didn't know what it was made for till the Europeans.
But the Berbers and the Moorish people did.
They did.
And the Moorish people were black people. Yeah.
So we've not gotten the picture, the whole picture.
Right.
They're not telling the whole story.
I didn't learn about them till I was in college, and it was like a joke almost. I felt like they do this on purpose. You get to university, then they'll tell you that, but it's up to you to actually consume
Find
it.
out.
And then even some book literature call them Islamic. I had one teacher, was Argentina one, was mad because I kept calling them Moorish people because their ego is crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason being that before the Europeans were writing our books for us.
But they had the architecture all in Spain. They had the Moorish king in Granada. They had the black Moorish king, the people that ruled over it from Africa
So
to this day.
yeah,
They have it in plain sight.
they did.
No, they still do.
They still do.
Yes.
Present, no past.
This whole architecture is harkening back to, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, the Spanish, like the Spanish architecture style. Is that correct? Okay. So that comes from the Moorish people, the Gothic style, during the Renaissance period.
Yes, and even Egypt. You know. Egypt, yeah.
The whole style, this the windows,
Yes.
the way this is set up. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that there's this man called Napoleon from France.
Right.
Yeah, so whatever he saw Egyptians doing, that he adopted them. Yeah, so that, no, they inverted it now. Every beautiful thing you see today started in Africa.
Right.
Did. This is the truth they did not want to believe.
Right.
Yes.
Well, not just them. We don't want to believe it too. Unfortunately, some of us don't.
We don't, because when they came, they made us believe that everything good comes from the white. That God is white, the Holy Spirit white, Jesus is white. Even up to today, we still believe it, some of us.
Yeah.
So that time, if you're going to church and you ever saw a white man, you go back home because you've seen God.
Right.
We're seeing part of the underground passage. In the last stream, I said I had to go through a tunnel, right? And so this was just an observatory for the soldiers to watch the captives move.
Oh wow.
Yeah, nobody went in and nobody came outside. There are no steps for that. You can have a look. Watch out. Okay, this was the end of the underground passage. The captives right here in chains and in shackles walked through a small door which was here. The original door of no return was right here. Yeah, they blocked it way back even before they could think of ending the slave trade. It's not on record. Okay, at the very time they blocked it. But all we know is that the sea was coming here, the encroachment of the sea. So they blocked it, did not give up, made another door of no return to continue the trade. This was a female cell. Females captured, resisted rape, challenged the white folks for their freedom. Yeah, if you resisted rape, you're brought here for 2 weeks maximum to be disciplined, punished. If we're here for more than 2 weeks, they saw how recalcitrant you were. They had to break you. How did they do the breaking? By letting you carry some of the cannonballs to the big ones. They weigh 30 to 50 kg. You carry more than one of them, and you were commanded to walk with them. As you walk with them, if any of the balls fell, that meant agreement to be raped. Meaning nobody escaped it, because there is no way you can carry those balls. Walk with them without any of them falling. No slave was allowed a bath in this castle. The only time a female slave could take a bath was when any of the white officials wanted to rape them. Women go through menstrual cycle. So imagine having blood on you from month 2 or 3. It's not just her blood. There are other women's that with her. So her blood, their blood, her sweat, their sweat. Whoever the potential rapist was could not tolerate the stench, the smell. Therefore, they need to wash them down. Apply pomade on their skin. Give them nice glowy wet. Heavy for to eat before raping them. When that was done, they were not done with. They were brought back to the female slave dungeons to wait for the ships to come gather, snatch them away to the new world.
And so they be pregnant, some of them, right?
Yeah, there's some were found pregnant here. If you're found pregnant here in the dungeons, they took you outside the castle. There they have built stone houses there. You'll be taken care of by some English doctors and nurses. After giving birth, they give you grace period of 3 months to breastfeed your kid. When that was done, the kid was taken away from the mother, and the mother brought back here to wait for the next shipment. If you were not liked by whoever raped you, to be a domestic slave or his concubine.
Yeah. Well, does that does that bring about a mindset of individuality in blacks because they would get separated so much, and then when they went to America, they would get separated from their family? That's why they don't stick together, because of the mental state of constantly breaking apart from each other.
In this town?
Yeah.
Or outside?
Both in the U.S. too.
Yeah.
They did the same. They would rape them, and they would send the child to a different plantation, and they would not let them stay with their child. And
well, I think
like George Washington, like you raped
Yeah.
raped this, and then Thomas Jefferson, the third president, he raped his kids. He kept them as a slave. He raped a 14-year-old black woman. Like, I mean, like they would do that there too in the U.S.
yes, so that happened here.
Right.
But then the main thing that brought about separation, Africans before the Europeans came here, they believed in the extended family.
Right.
So they all stuck together in one house.
Right.
So they came and they said that no, we stick to nuclear family. So you, your kid, your husband separate, kids, husband separate, kid.
Right.
Yes.
Like in my country, they do that sometimes, but sometimes they don't even stick together because of the individualistic mindset that's promoted within the United States. Yeah.
Okay, then here is better off.
Yes, it is. I noticed that people are more family oriented from my observation. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was one of the female slave dungeons, the other one behind us. And we each could house 150 to 200 people.
Yes.
Yes. I said some were pregnant, and what happened to them? The kids were brought back here. The question is, what happened to the kids? The kids were never slaves. They were freeborns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they were given preferred treatment. Why? Because they carried the white man's blood.
Mm.
I'm not saying this to you because you're black. I say it to the white guys too because it's the truth.
How do they react when you tell them?
There are some who feel squirmed, okay? They're embarrassed about it. There are people who cry.
Oh, okay.
Others don't care.
Right.
They tell them they didn't do it.
That's the real reaction.
Yes.
Yes.
So the kids, they build castle schools for them and they train them to become great people.
Yeah.
We still have some of the descendant remnant here.
Mm-hmm.
We have the likes of Castle Hayford, the line of Mesa Saba, the Thompsons, the Van Dykes, the Davidsons, the Smith, the Wilberforce. Yes, we still have some of these names in this town, a lot, and I've got some in my home. Yes. If you are not fortunate to be found pregnant here, but you're found pregnant on the ship, some were thrown overboard. Yeah, the reason being that you're weak, being pregnant, you will need extra time. Nobody was ready for that. Again, slaves to the newborn could be sold at any point in time. And nobody bought a pregnant slave, so they saw no use for you. The best they could ever do was to get rid of you. You can go find this article, The Interesting Narrative of Orlando Equano. You've read that already?
No.
Okay.
Gotta read that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a slave, so before his death, he recounted everything he saw in and on the ship.
You said the name was again?
Orlando Equano.
I've heard that name before. I feel like I read a
Igbo.
tidbit of it in grade school.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Let's see the door. So the final exit, where these Africans say goodbye to Mama Africa, to their families and friends. The slave trade is not just about people taken away. It's also about people who are left behind. They're left behind, families with no hands to feed.
Yeah.
Yes. Whatever plantation you're going to work on, you took after the name of the plantation. We have Wheatley's plantation, for example. So if we have 100 Africans working on Wheatley's plantation, they don't take their local names. So in Africa, children are named according to the days they were born, alongside the tribe they were born into. I'm a Saturday born, so I'm Anna. I'm a Thankti, so I am Kabreba. I'll not carry this name in the new one. I'll take a name like Elizabeth Whitney, Precious Whitney, Sharon Whitney, to erase the Africanness in your name. Have you watched The Root?
Oh yeah, I saw it. Yeah, yeah, that was powerful.
Kunta Kinte, right?
Yes, Kunta
Said,
Kinte.
no, you're not going to become Kunta Kinte.
Yeah, I went to the Gambia, saw his village, Jufuri. It was, yeah, it was, yeah.
We go through the story, but we're coming back.
So what do you think about some historians and what they say about Kunta Kinte?
Yes, what they...
Some people say that the person Kunta Kinte wasn't, that Alice Haley's not related to that person, and then some people say he was. It's very confusing. But that's the thing with historians. It depends who's writing the story. Who's telling the...
Truthfully speaking, I haven't heard of that, so I'm gonna go read about it.
Right.
Yes, I watched the movie, but this is new to me.
Yeah.
At that time, the sea could run and jump right to where we have the rocks. They brought in small boats. At that time, there wasn't anything like that. There was no road, no park, and there wasn't the sea defense. This is recent.
Okay.
Yes. They brought in small boats like we have here. Together, Africans in small numbers would then transfer them to the bigger ships on the deepest part of the ocean. And so some of the ships that came to Africa had names like Jesus Christ, Santa Maria, Good Hope, the grace of God, God is able. And he said they were here to spread the gospel. There's something else on the door.
Yeah, door no return.
Door of return.
Yeah, okay, door of return, yes. That's right, door of return.
Yeah, the very first time we had this inscription was in August 1998. There was a festival called the Emancipation Day, which you still celebrate, right? At that time, 2 black bones were exhumed from their graves. One from New York, Samuel Cass, and the other from Jamaica, Mother Crystal. These bones are brought back to Africa through the same bridge, the sea, to this very castle. Through the same door, then to the compound, the courtyard, where African traditional funeral was held for the bones. After that, these bones were reburied in Ghana at Asan Manso. That was the marketplace where the captors took their last bath before they were brought into this castle.
Yeah.
Okay, so bringing these bones back to Africa symbolized the return of every enslaved African. It was done to close the gap between us and those outside Africa, saying that whoever was taken from Africa now has a chance to come back home. So we got to. Have you watched The Legend of the Seeker?
The Seeker, no, I haven't seen that.
Okay, so it's not related to the slave trade, but then the Seeker had to look for something called the Stone of Tears, which was to close a rift created by the darkened world. Okay, so this ceremony can be likened to the Stone of Tears. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I gotta look that up. That'd be powerful in itself, it sounds like. It very much relates. I was thinking about, for African Americans, they were sold for basically scrap metal, right? No?
There's, I'm saying that no, that's what I was saying. It's not relatable to what you're thinking. Yeah, just.
Oh, and then I think about the movie Star Wars, where they had the white woman that was she was sold for scrap metal, and she was a slave. That story comes from how Africans were treated.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so this Stone of Tears, we have this actor called Darkenrow.
Yeah.
He was so evil that he wanted to conquer everybody like the Europeans.
Right.
So what the Seeker had to do was to get that tear, Stone of Tear, to close the rift that he created. Yeah. Because that was where some of his agent came from. So he had to close the rift.
Yeah.
To save the world.
Wow, man. Okay, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, so you gotta watch that. The Legend of the Seeker.
Yes, Legend of the Seeker, yes. Awesome.
There are some enslaved males who are always ready to tussle, to fight back for their freedom. And those who challenged the white folks were brought here to die. They were denied basic necessities of life, food, water, light, air. And so you be here, you starve, you dehydrate, you suffocate, then you're gone. We call this room the room of no return, condemned cell, or the grave of the castle. Whoever went there alive never came back alive. This is the only original door left in the castle.
Wow. Huh.
So the original door of no return had this size.
Mm.
Let's go through it. Watch your hat.
I just smell something. Wow, it's horrible.
Okay, they had two extra doors making three. 1, 2, 3. And all of them were locked, meaning it was worse than you felt. Being in here 2, 3 days, the white soldiers would come find out how many people dead, how many alive. If they knew that there's some dead, some alive, would not get rid of the dead bodies. The living stay here with the dead.
Okay.
And then locked all the 3 doors, went back, came back the next day.
Oof.
They repeated the cycle till they found the last person gone. When that happened, because they couldn't stand the smell, they went for some of the males to come, carry the dead bodies of their own brothers in their arms, would carry the dead bodies and lay the dead bodies there and call the rest of the enslaved captives, both males and females, to come see what happened to their brothers who tried being the Kunta Kintes, the Nelson Mandelas, and the Kwame Nkrumahs. When that was done, the dead bodies were tied to stones and dumped into the sea. So we call the sea the grave of the enslaved Africans. Any questions?
No.
Okay, let's go. Back home and reclaim their land. The very first time slaves were taken to the New World, Virginia, Jamestown, was in 1619 officially. Yes, from 1619 to 2019 marked 400 years. Many of the prophecy has been fulfilled. Again, God says, don't worry, Abraham, because I am the God of vengeance. I'm going to punish all the nations that enslave your people. So somebody asked me, why do you think we have so many natural disasters in the Western world than we have in Africa?
I'm sorry, how many so many natural disasters in the world, Western world, and that's because of what do they call it? Spiritual chastisement. Yeah.
So that's God's
Divine
punishment.
chastisement.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's God's punishment.
Yeah.
Questions? So they are the children of those who refuse to die.
Wow, and they were able to look this up.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
Okay, now we move up time. Okay.
All right.
So this was where the captives were auctioned. Exchanged for guns, gunpowder, sugar factory. So basically the marketplace. The companies to buy captives, they had their captives branded, identified. How they did that, they had a substance with your name carved out beneath it. They put that in fire red hot, from that in palm oil. From that even mill your chest, female your back or your arms. Their companies who preferred portion of the slaves' hair cut for easy identification. Those who were merciful enough would just demand a small chain we put around here for that same purpose. That's why after that, the males and the females were put into their respective dungeons to wait for the ships. Some of the slave companies we have Nassau Ghana, Barclays Bank, Liverpool Football Team, Manchester City, Manchester United, Barclays Bank.
The names
Yes.
of the soccer teams
Yes.
come from
They were slave companies. The money,
companies.
yes. Foundation was slavery.
and now they hire the people to be the star players of the team,
Yeah.
and they make the most money off of them to this
Yes.
day. Oh my! Whew.
You can go check that out. Yeah. I was shocked myself the first time I found it. I was like, whoa. Get out. You don't have resistance. I see.
Okay.
Yeah. This was the living room for the governor. One person occupied the space. Have you heard Africans calling white people Obrofu? Obruni?
Bruni?
Yes.
Have I heard Africa called Bruni?
Yeah. White people, Obruni or Obrofu.
I heard Tabo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did they say that means?
White people. It's
White
in Senegal.
people.
Senegal. That's what,
Okay.
that's what they would call them in the Gambia.
Yeah, but we call white people Obrofu here.
I broke.
I thought it because of your skin pigmentation, because they're white. So I read a book called Homegoing. In that book, the author explains that the word Obroni comes from the local word Abroni, singular, plural, Abrofu, meaning people who knew what was good but chose evil. He's smiling. If one person could stay here, then you knew what was good. Alright? But you allowed thousands of millions to die without small space. Thousands of people died there.
All right.
Any questions?
Well, I mean, I had one white guy in my grade school. He told me, "Yeah, I know we're evil."
He said that. Wow.
I mean, it's a real experience when you see it.
Yeah, it's a Torah side. These white people were not created by God.
Well, I
They
mean,
said
yeah.
because God would not be this. God is never of this nature.
Right.
Yes. Let's see the bedroom. Yeah, this was where some of the females were sexually mishandled, sexually abused. And this was where McLean's wife was found dead.
Oh wow.
And those in Blaze, the governor's slept bedroom. I wonder how they slept. Looking through this window, there's a structure on top of the hill. The white fender.
Okay.
And we call that Fort William. It was built by the English to protect the castle. How do they do the protecting? In the daytime, the reflected mirror, reflection of light. Light travels in the straight line, right?
Mm-hmm.
At night, they wave red flag or anything red to signify danger. That's where they know something is going to happen. We get ready for war by setting the cannons. We put gunpowder into the mouth, some of the balls into them. To release them, to hit the enemy ship. The balls were to create holes in the ship, so the ship sank. Let's see the communication room where they receive the signals. All they had to do was to look through the hole. There were soldiers here all the time. You see the fort, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. Communication room, all right.
Okay, so this place was for the guests of the governors. You know, whoever was going to trade with the governor or whoever was they had in the castle should be cognitively sound, cognitively relaxed. So they were entertained here before and after business. So we call the reception area.
Okay. And who was entertaining again?
Who?
Yeah, the blacks?
No, they play music,
Oh,
they
okay.
smoke pot, they drum.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Let's see the church. Okay, this was the Anglican church. Yeah, the one that became a classroom for those kids born out of rape. It's now a public library.
Let's see. Can we enter in? No.
You know, the librarian isn't here.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Okay, there are two plaques in front of the Mills Lake Dungeon. We read them. We started from here and we ended here because this world has a loop around effect. Okay, whatever goes around comes around.
Let's see.
Whatever we do today will catch up with us, whether directly or indirectly.
Yes. Yep.
The Obamas were here in 2009 because Michelle Obama traced a route to or from this castle, whichever way. Some of the captives in there were the ancestors. Yes. So she came home. And thus was unveiled by Ghana National House of Chiefs together with the government in 1992 during the Maiden Panifest. Yeah, they came to eat humble pie, to say they're so sorry for being so greedy and ignorant, they could exchange human beings for guns, gunpowder, sugar fabrics. Could you read that aloud for me?
Oh, okay. In everlasting memory of the anguish of our ancestors, may those who died rest in peace. May those who return find their roots. May humanity never again perpetrate such injustice against humanity. We, the living, vow to uphold this. But in Montana, this still goes on.
Yes. I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
That we are acting like chameleons. You know, chameleons can change their color, but never their nature. We're still doing this. We are still in the business of punishing small thieves while electing big ones into public offices. We have many politicians, but we got few or no leaders.
Especially in Ghana.
Yes. So how do we do this? I read a book called The Beautiful Ones, They're Not Yet Born. It's just that we have failed because we are not beautiful enough. He's saying that everybody is corrupted.
Yeah.
From the
unfortunately.
head
Yeah.
to the down.
Yeah. It's always a battle every day you wake up.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we can uphold this when we recognize our oneness, both the white and the white recognize that they are one. Some way, somehow we can. If we can compare ourselves to piano, we cannot produce music with the white keys, right?
Okay.
You would need the black keys too.
Right.
If you understand that we need each other,
Mm-hmm.
we can start from that. Or maybe when we realize that the first man that ever lived in Africa.
Yes.
Life began in Africa.
Yes. Ethiopia.
Meaning everybody has a bit of Africanness within, whether white or black.
They're a deformity of black people. The black woman.
Yeah. So if we recognize that we are one, then I think that can start from that.
Yes.
Till then, I'll leave you with my name, Francisca.
Francisca.
Which means freedom.
Freedom.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Francisca. That was very informative. Very, very informative. All right.